Good evening, you handsome lot. On the ramp, I've got a 2012 Volkswagen Transporter T5 2-litre TDI, and unfortunately, this one hasn't failed. Timing belt caused a lot of damage. Right, we'll think back to about 2 months or so ago. This vehicle came in to us with a timing belt failure where the water pump had seized and it stripped every single belt tooth off the belt. But we're going ahead now and we're going to be getting this vehicle repaired. Unfortunately, the valves have touched. Some rockers have snapped. The lobes on the camshafts have spun, so I'm going to be showing them when we get into it. I'll be showing you what has failed. But for now, I think what we need to do is get that front end off. There we have it. Within about 20 minutes or so, that complete front end is off. Now look how much room we've got to access stuff. Now, this is one of them jobs where when you take a bolt out, put the bolt back in the same place, because here's lots and lots and lots of nuts and bolts. There's all the rad pack. Front bumper, everything's going to be put neatly in the paint shop shortly, out of the way. Right, shall we make a start-a-rooney? Right, well, I have gone ahead now and I've removed the wiring loom. Fuel lines are just tucked up there, out of the way, to save all the fuel dripping down. Now, with the wiring loom, if you're unsure of anything, you can always just put little dots on stuff as a little bit of a reference for yourself, or grab your phones out and take pictures so you know exactly where everything is going to go. Right, I've got to go ahead now and get the inlet manifold off, E-jar down the back there, vac pump, lots of little bits that we can be carrying on with. And also we've got to take the turbo off as well, down the back. I am slowly making a little bit of progress. We've got the inlet manifold off. I did have to get some easy outs on it because the bolts were heavily corroded and the T30 had just rounded. We've got the E-jar off down the back. And the pile is getting a little bit big. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to take the turbo off, complete with the head, take the DPF off and do that way rather than, I don't know yet, but I'll have a little look. Have a little look, see what's going on. But yeah, there is one bolt right down the back here, just not behind the oil feed line. I don't really want to go bending anything out of the way. So yeah, I'll have to have a little look and see what's the best way to take it off. Well, unfortunately, I'll have to take the turbo off with the cylinder head because the oil feed pipe that goes up and around the back and on top of the turbo, that pipe is seized and I can't really undo it. Well, I can, but it's going to twist it and it'll probably leak after. So I'm going to have to try and address the situation when I've got it right in front of me rather than being a little bit awkward. We have a little look now. I've taken the DPF off, which is given a lot of access, which is right by there. We can drop the vehicle back down now and carry on. Believe it or not, we are now in a position where we can go ahead and get the cylinder head off. Now, I have removed the camshaft pulley, the idler gear from down the bottom here. And there's a few little bolts that you have to remove, T30s, just for the camshaft sensor and the plastic cover as well. Let me flip it around. Now, the camshafts, you've got to make sure that you turn them. You can take the cam box off separately, but I'm going to be taking it off with the cylinder head. Turn the camshaft because it is little grooves that you can fit an M12 down the side of them. Right, let's get the cylinder head off. Just with a little bit of magic, that cylinder head is now off. We can see, well, we could see this before, that we've got rockers smashed. The camshaft lobes have spun. If we go over to the pistons, you can see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see on the camera, but you can see where the valves have just touched the top of the pistons. Just about. Right, now my work's cut out. We've got to get this cam box off, camshafts out, get all the valves out and see what's going on. The camshafts are now out. We can, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but the lobes, they have spun. You see how they're not in line with each other? And also, the rockers just smashed to bits. We've got a couple that are good, and then others which I've split down the bottom. But whatever happens, this is having 16 new rocker arms. Well, now we've got everything stripped down. I have removed 2 inlet valves out of the cylinder head. Now, I knew they were bent because I did a little bit of a smoke test. With the cylinder head still on, I filled the inlet port full of brake and clutch fluid. fluid. Put my smoke machine straight down the injector hole, and it was bubbling out and smoking out. Now, I might attach a little bit of a clip up there for you. But if I just flick this camera around now, I have taken the 2 inlet valves out, but you can see here, it has just touched the exhaust valves. Now, if I blow at the bottom of the valves, you will see through the top here it bubbling. See that? That one there. By there as well. So we have got quite a few more valves touched and bent than expected. But it doesn't matter because I have ordered 60 new valves for it. So whatever we need, we're going to slap straight in it. I'm making a little bit of progress here. We've now removed all the exhaust valves and inlet valves. We put them into a little tub. And we've also removed the valve stem oil seals down the bottom there because it is having brand new valve stem oil seals. Now I have spoken to the customer and I said, well, I weren't too happy about a couple of valves. And he was like, right, just put all new valves in it straight through. So yeah, winner, winner. So I'm going to pop down to see my mate now, and he's got a hot wash so I can chuck this through, make sure everything's nice and clean. Now, luckily for me, it is always handy to have friends in this trade and always get on with people around you 4 times like this. Luckily for me, it is generally a 20-30 second trip down the road. So let's get there. Right, well, we are now here and we're giving a little bit of a cleaner here. I haven't to do it myself. Hello. You've got a little bit of a wiper blade on this. But anyway, it is starting to look a little bit like brand new. Right, well that is now, that head looking like brand new. That is all his details up there. If you need anything, give him a shout. He's a hell of a nice lad. Right, let's get back to the workshop. And just like that, we are into the next morning. Now, unfortunately for me, for the next hour or 2 hours or so, I've got to be lapping valves in. Now, we do have to do this process. If we don't, we're not going to get good compression. Now, also, if you don't know what valve lapping is, we've got to cut that valve into the valve seat itself. I've already done that one. I don't know if you can see. See the line all the way around? I'm aligning the valve seat there. And this is one I haven't done. See how it's all black and dirty? I've got to get every single valve looking like that. Right, this should keep me busy for an hour or so.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
And there we have it with a little bit of magic. All them 16 valves are now lapped in. And they're all looking. Will it focus? A little bit. Like that. Absolutely perfect. Right. Let's put a little bit of tape across them heads now, that head, to keep them valves in and flip it over. With that cylinder head now flipped over, we will be fitting brand new valve stem oil seals in it as well. It would be rude not to. With a little bit of magic now, those valve stem seals are now all in place. Now I have already gone ahead and put the exhaust valves in, and we've now got to put the inlet valves in. But we're getting there. We are getting there steadily, but slowly. Well, all them valves are now back in place, all the collets are back on, and I've gone over them with a little bit of a hammer and just tapped the top of them to make sure that they're all settled in properly. Now we do need to go ahead and put the old lifters back in. We're not using new ones because there's nothing wrong with them. And I've put them in a vise, squashed all the oil out of them, and they should just slot in, and then we can get the rocker arms on. There we have it. Them rockers are now back in place. Make sure that you click them on top of the lifters. Now the camshafts, you do have to be extra careful with these because you do have to have a proper jig, but it's something that I haven't got, and I'll show you what it's like now. It's a little bit like that, and it lines them all up. But I'm going to have to do it without that jig. Can we do it? Of course we can. There's nothing we can't do. To carry out this camshaft procedure, there is a lot of on and off if you haven't got the jig. Now this camshaft carrier cap, I call it, or cage, or whatever you want to call it, it is sealed to the cylinder head. Now I haven't done it yet because we're just getting things lined up. That pulley has got to go on there, like so. Everything's got to line up with that hole in there. So you put, where's it gone? In my pocket. That timing pin in there, like so. And then this inlet camshaft has to, and my camera's not dead flat at the minute, but it is. That line in there has got to fit in line with the cylinder head and that camshaft cage. And that now is all timed up. I'm going to take this off now, clean it and seal it. I've taken that cage back off. Now, just to help yourselves line it up, what I've done is put a couple of marks on the camshaft so you know which way to turn it. I think now we are in a position so we can get that cylinder head back on. Everything is torqued up to spec. We've put the exhaust, the turbo back on, new gaskets. We've cleaned the block down, made sure that we've blown all our oil where the head bolts go. Make sure you blow the oil out, because if it's not blown out when you tighten it up, chances are you could crack the block. Now always, whenever you're fitting the cylinder head, make sure that your pistons are always halfway down the bore. Right, should we get it back on? I think so. Well, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I need to skip on with this vehicle. We've got the cylinder head back on. There's 4 tightening sequences: 35, 60, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Now what I like to do on the top of the head bolts, when I've done the Newton meters and I'm coming onto the degrees, just mark each bolt at 9 o'clock, so you know that all the bolts should be facing the same way when you're finished. Right, I'm going to chuck this timing belt on. I'm going to get this engine turning over by hand. Right, well, unfortunately, we are into day 3. Now, this is a long old job, especially lapping the valves in. It probably took me best part of 3/4 of the day yesterday to make sure everything's perfect, cutting them in, getting the camshaft set up. But the head is on. We've also got, let me flip it around. I put the rocker cover on with a new gasket. It's got a new water, timing belt, water pump. I've got new gaskets to go on the inlet manifold. I'm just in the middle of putting all the timing covers on, so I'm going to be plodding on. Got so much to do. Well, we are slowly taking shape. All the inlet manifolds on, all the fuel pipes are on, coolant pipes. I've got some new injector washers here and some new bolts for the injector clamps. You've got to replace them. I think now's a good time. If you've got this far in the video and you are enjoying it, please click that like and subscribe. Every little bit of help helps. But we've got so much stuff to be getting on with. Still got the front end. I've got a fresh oil and filter for it. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And there we have it. That engine is all back together now. I have wanged it over with a key, made sure we've got oil pressure and nothing leaking. So when we put the front end on, we can get on the key and fingers crossed, it starts. I want to start it because there's no coolant in it. You know the drill. I don't want to get it hot. But anyway, let's get this front end on. Try and get it boxed off. Ta-da! With a little bit of magic, that front end is now on. We've got some fresh coolant in it. The oil level's perfect. Does it start? Of course it does. Straight off the button. It does sound a little bit throaty at the minute because I have got an air filter that's on its way for it. I should have ordered it, but I haven't. Anyway, it's just settling out now. All the fuel pressures are running up good. I am more than happy with it. I've still got the front bumper to put on, which is here, and various other bits and bobs. But yeah, cheers run. For those that doubted me doing the camshafts with my eye rather than using a jig, you don't need a jig. You do it by eye. But that doesn't mean you can do it. Anyway, let's get it finished off. Well, that vehicle, the front end is now on. Now, while I've been doing it, the vehicle has been ticking over and the air filter has come and it is so much quieter. But while I've been doing it, I have been keeping an eye on the water temperature, the oil temperature, engine RPM, various different readings. And I'd say it is up to temperature. If you have a little look, we've got no leaks now at all underneath there. New sump plug. Sounds perfect. Now, let's drop it down. Right, now I'm happy with everything and that front end is completely on. We're going to go around it all and give it a little bit of a cleaner rooney and get all our mucky handprints off it. There you have it, the finished product. all looking like brand spanking new, and it's ticking over like a little Singer sewing machine. Now, it's been ticking over now for probably 40-45 minutes. We've got no warning lights on, and everything sounds hunky-dory. Give it a little bit of a rev. Perfect. I'm happy with that. Job, young. Or job's a good one. Anyway, I'm going to take it for a little bit of a test drive now. Make sure that the front wheels are torqued up. Give it some tests tomorrow. Make sure that we've got no leaks. And the customer can have it back Friday. No doubt he's going to watch the video and be over the moon that his van is back up and running. But anyway, that is one Transporter T5 back on the road. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's get it sent.